Coastline with the Beaufort County Treasurer-elect. I say elect because she doesn't actually get sworn in until July 1, but Maria Walls, who has been actually in the position of Deputy County Treasurer for the last 4 years. Maria, thanks for joining us on Coastline today.
Thank you for having me.
Well, you've had a baptism by fire. The last 4 years have been tough, to say the least, after the the recession that we've gone through, and hopefully we're seeing a little bit of an increase in revenues now. We just spoke with Councilman Stewart, who shared with us some difficult changes that are going to be coming down the road and that have already begun. But before we get into that, tell us a little bit about the Treasurer's Office, what exactly it is that you do, and what your plans are as the new Treasurer after Doug Henderson retires.
Great. Well, thank you. Thank you for having me. The main function of the Treasurer's Office is purely to collect the taxes, and we have a fiduciary responsibility to maintain those funds in a secure manner until they need to be spent. The Assessor's Office determines values, and the Auditor's Office calculates the tax bills. So a common misunderstanding about our office is that because the bill says Beaufort County Treasurer at the top, that we determine the amount that is on there, which is inaccurate. We just collect the dollars that are on there. So I feel our job mainly is to make the collection and the payment process for our taxpayers as easy and as efficient as possible. And one of the main things that you're going to see out of our office by the end of this year is going to be a new website, which I'm very excited about. And it will be much more user-friendly than the current one, be able to access information faster and access our office as well as myself quickly and easily. I am going to have scheduled office hours. You'll be able to make appointments if you'd like to sit and meet with me in Hilton Head, Bluffton, or Beaufort. And the other project we're going to be working on is payments by phone. You'll be able to call a number and pay your tax bill by phone from wherever you are. We do get a lot of questions and inquiries about that, and I think it would be a great service to add another payment method to make things more convenient for our taxpayers.
Okay, I know you've been able to do that online. There's a somewhat hefty charge that's associated with doing that. Are you looking at the possibility of maybe mitigating some of that hefty charge since everybody seems to be going online?
Yes. Here's the difficult part with that. When you go and shop at your grocery store, you're paying that fee. It's just they're not allowed to directly pass it to you, so they build it into the cost of their products. Being that we're a government, we are permitted by state law to pass that fee directly on to the taxpayer. So it is a significant fee. What we can do to mitigate that is, one, work with our bankers and our credit card processors to reduce the fees. But it is dependent on what credit card you use. So a taxpayer that comes in with a credit card that earns them a great deal of points and airline miles, that is actually a very costly credit card for us to accept, but we still accept them. I am looking to reduce that. I don't think it will be as significant as some may like, because whatever costs are not covered by that fee, the county has to pay for. We have to pay that cost regardless of whether we collect it from the taxpayers or not. And we're really trying to reduce the burden on the county general fund, as Councilman Jerry Stewart expressed before. We are in a situation where we need to really conserve our funds, especially this year.
Yeah, you've really stepped up to the plate. The county, as Councilman Stewart said, out of their general fund, asked all of their departments to cut back, and you've got you have two sources of revenue. You've got the general fund, and then you've got the delinquent tax collections, which formulate $1.8 or $9 million of your total budget. But from the general fund, I understand you told me you had a $900,000 or so budget.
Correct.
And you all stepped up and were able to cut 90,000.
900,000.
900,000.
Not 900. Excuse me. 100,000.
100,000.
That'd be impressive,
So,
wouldn't it?
Yeah.
100,000. We discussed with the county administration our ability to reduce our planned budget from the general fund, which is approximately 900,000, and we're working very hard because it was quite late in the year to reduce the amount we had planned to spend by $100,000, and we take that commitment very seriously.
Okay. So how do you do that? I mean, what have you done to cut costs?
We have been operating very understaffed. That has been the main source of that reduction. Not by termination, but just through attrition, sick leave, different personnel situations. That has allowed us to significantly reduce what we had intended to spend. We are being very mindful of postage. 75% of my budget is staff, postage, and professional services. So we're trying to be very mindful of what we're mailing out and the professional services that we're incurring, mainly print services. Our print vendor services are our greatest expenditure, one of them, because we send out hundreds of thousands of bills a year, and that postage is associated with each of those.
Well, you know, we talked a little bit about the website that you're anticipating reviving, and I guess one of the questions is there an opportunity to save money, or is it even legally possible to just electronically mail people their bills?
I'm very glad you asked that. Well, currently in the Senate, and it did get passed and it's going to the House, Senate Bill 460. It is a piece of legislation that I'm really excited to have a part in helping formulate it, that would give counties the opportunity to send tax bills and receipts electronically. Current law states that we must mail through the United States Postal Service a bill and every delinquent notice. The receipts, we are only required to provide it, but the most efficient way to provide it currently has always been through the mail, because the county has never maintained email addresses, phone numbers even. So we do have taxpayers that call and ask, can you email me my bill? I'm not home. We do that as a courtesy, as requested, but we've never been given the opportunity to do it in a mass program. And it looks like the bill has received a lot of support. I believe our current legislative delegation is in support of it. It would save our county tens of thousands of dollars just in this year alone, based on the number of people that have paid online. Assuming all of them would elect to receive their bill electronically in their receipt, you've eliminated almost $1 in postage alone per item. It is quite significant, and I believe that our county and our state really need to utilize technology so that we can provide better services at a less of a cost.
As far as you know, are there any other states that currently have initiated this type of delivery?
You know, I'm not sure. I'm not sure.
It'd be kind of neat to be a groundbreaking state.
Really, it would be, and I'm just excited that our legislative body was thinking. I don't know the source of where the idea came from, but just thinking, I love the opportunity.
Well, hopefully if they do move forward on it, they'll also have some way to make sure that nothing falls through the cracks, and people don't risk losing their property because I didn't get it.
They've done a very good job leaving the counties up to the decision up to them on how they want to administer, but it does include criteria that all delinquent notifications remain hard copy, so by paper as a fail-safe in case you don't receive the email and you don't realize you owe the bill. And it will also be publicly advertised, the program, in the newspaper every year for a certain period of time. So taxpayers are reminded that program exists, so they're reminded they may have signed up for it. And in addition to that, the counties are required to keep proof of a taxpayer's voluntary participation, as well as proof that the email was sent. The date the email was sent serves as a postmark.
Okay. And of course, people are always changing their email address, so hopefully you've got a bounce back situation that you'll be notified if it didn't go through.
Hopefully, yes. Once the legislation is fully passed, if it is fully passed, we will make sure that we create a program that best serves the taxpayer.
We talked about how you, this year alone, had saved $100,000 in the general budget, but this is really something that's been going on for about 4 years now.
Yes.
Ever since you actually stepped into your position.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about some of the difficult decisions that you've had to make, and as Councilman Stewart alluded to, the cutbacks that are going to be taking place going forward for staff and those who have retired.
Well, over the past 4 years, as of today, we have saved 29.4% in our budget. So we've reduced our budget 29% since July 1 of 2011. In actual expenditures, we've cut 32%. So that's over $598,000, so we didn't just start cutting and looking for ways to be efficient. We've been doing that all along. And I will continue to do that once I'm sworn in on July 1st, because it's our responsibility to the taxpayers to spend their money wisely and in the best way possible, because we're a pass-through department in essence, and we want to make sure our impact is as small as possible on the money we're collecting.
That's the movement to, be as conscious of the expenditures as possible. Does that in any way worry the staff at all?
I think in the beginning, I hate to speak for them, but I think in the beginning it did. We did reduce our staff by 5 members total up to now since the previous administration was in office. And I think at first it unsettled them. Why are we cutting this process or that process? Does it mean I'm going to lose my job? I think that now we have a very good working relationship, and they trust that they're making the right decisions for our office and for the county. And we're not cutting processes or making things more efficient so that we can cut staff necessarily, but to give them the opportunity perhaps to learn something new, a greater technology, more efficient technology, which in the end makes them more marketable professionals.
Your background, prior to being the deputy county administrator, or deputy county treasurer rather, I just gave you a promotion. You are a CPA.
Yes.
And do you anticipate that you will be keeping a kind of a watch on different departments, or does that really fall under the auditor?
Well, misunderstanding about the word auditor. The auditor in the county, in Beaufort County, their purpose is to audit the tax roll, not departments. So they're different from a public auditor or an internal auditor. So they audit the tax roll, which is the values, and then calculate the bills. My role as the treasurer, like I said, is to collect the funds and maintain them. As my background as a CPA and a public auditor comes into play, and what I think has been wonderful for our department, I understand internal controls, I understand deficiencies, and I understand accounting. So when I see a process that has weaknesses in it and makes it open to fraud or open to mistakes that will go undetected, I have the background to identify those issues before, hopefully, before they happen, so that we can preempt them by creating better processes and controls, not just worry about efficiency.
Good deal. I'm sure you've already instituted some of those.
Correct.
And next time we have you in here, we'll talk a little bit more about those, but we're completely out of time. Maria Walls, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Everybody is going to be at your swearing in, Hope, on July 1, and she takes over for the outgoing and retiring Doug Henderson. So we'll look forward to good work from you.
Thank you very much.